Okay, well today what I want to look at doing is we're just going to do a little rural rustic fence and some wires and a little bit in the background here and some rails, and it's actually it's quite small because that's an A4 size, but we're bringing it down to, well, it's between an A4 and an A5 I guess. We're just making it fit, and I've done the grid 0.3, so it's going to be even smaller. Alright, and as usual we're going to just put in the numbers so we know where we're at. 3, 4, 5, and then there's a little bit there which can't see on there, but it's, you know, so we'll put it in anyway. And 1, 2, 3, just do this slightly. 5, hang on, what have we got going? Oh yeah, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got that little bit at the top as well. Okay, so what we do, we'll put the markings on here as well so we don't get lost. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Also, I've done one in black and white because sometimes you can actually see a bit more, and because we're actually going to be doing you know, a graphite, well, tonal drawing, for want of a better way of describing it, I always like to have my grayscale reference photo with me as well. Okay, so what we do, we're starting off, we're on 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're just going to come down here, and that'll come down to about there, and then down here, and it'll come to about here by the look of that. I like to just put little dots so I know where I'm going to. Now on this side, come down here, and it would appear we're just sort of just above the halfway, I'd say, so about there, so about, we'll come down to here, and then there, and there. This is just under halfway, and then we've got sort of a little peak going on here, and then we come down here. I've got to be careful because I'm sort of starting to get big here, and roughly about to there. Now I noticed here, where we come down there, there's a bit coming out, so I'm just going to put that in. And it looked like there could have been another little bit there, and I think we may just have to take this little wee bit out here because it's sort of coming out a little bit too much. Alright, we'll try and get it as, keep it within the line, you know, within the grid as much as possible. Yeah, so that sort of got a bit of a, and then it sort of comes down, and then, yeah, more like that. Like that. Okay. Now, we'll do the cross one coming over. And we're in grid 5. And it would appear that we're going to be going, if we look at it like this, we're able to see that there. So in 5, and that's going to go sort of about there like that, right on the cusp of that grid, and about, we're going to go it's quite low, so, and it comes out, then it sort of comes up, and then even though it's a straight line, it has the so about there, so and just under halfway, about there, and then it's coming through on this line. Like that, and then we're just above halfway. It's going to come up and be like that, and then it's going to go through here, and yeah, so our other post over here would be around about halfway, so we'll come down here, oh, a bit over, a bit more. Oh no, about there, and then it's sort of down there. And then we come through there. Then we've got this big knot there, and that would appear, oh, I see, yes, so we're around about the halfway mark, what comes out to that, and then we come back down, and back down, yep. Remember, we're just putting in just the outline for the line, for the line drawing. Now here we're coming out here, and that's only coming. Okay, so we're going to come like that, and then we come in, and then we're going back out again. And it's just sort of gradually coming out to about there. I don't know if it's that prominent. And there. Alright. There's a lot of knots in that to do in here. It's going to be really interesting, actually. Looking forward to it. I don't know what's going on there. Sometimes it's very hard to see what's going on. And then we got this going through to about halfway. Oh, bring that over. Try and keep it in the camera. And it's going through to here, and then that's in quite a bit of shade there. Now we've got, it's going to come to about halfway, so although it's a round log, it's sort of not hexagonal, but it's not. Now we can't see what's going on right here. If I bring it up, you know, it's a bit hard, can you see? But that won't matter. It could be anything, it could be just a shadow or something, but not too worried. Now that there, oh okay, we're going to have to just flatten that out a bit, because it's quite a flat, yeah, and it does come over quite a bit. So it's sort of like that, and then we come down, and then we've got a little curve going on, and that's quite straight, surprisingly. And we can see that the way it's been cut, and then it's going to come like that, and then it goes into that. I always bring that over a bit, so. Yeah. And then that is going to be going along this line, because that's shadow. That there is daylight, but it's shadow. And of course, that there runs into about there, and then we're going to carry on up there, but all this is in shadow. Comes out there, and it's going there. That's this one, and it's the same. We might have to play around with that, but that's all right. And then we've got just over halfway, so about there, and that's coming through to there. That, and that there, about there. And that's going to come up to about there. Well, it's not actually, because it's behind that. Alright. And oh, hang on. Yep, yep. We've got this line here, this is that gap. So we've got this, the end of there, and then we've got there, and then there. Well, there's the outline done, roughly. Okay, well, I've done a little bit offline, just putting in the, sort of like the placements of where, the different little textures are going to be going, the imperfections, the bits, the little knots, and the line of the grain, and all that sort of thing. So I've just, excuse me, I've just sort of put them in, just lightly, just to make it a little bit. To try to speed the video up a bit. That's actually what I'm trying to do, so it's not so long for you to sit and watch. Because when I've done a little bit, like for example, putting in the grain in here, I mean, realistically, what I'm doing is all there is to it, And like I say, it's all about layers, and it's it's a process. It's a process that we just go one sort of step at a time, and we're slowly building it up to where we want it to be, to the level of how we want the drawing to be. Does that make sense? Like it's like I said, it's just slowly working away, just chipping away, and then gradually it all starts to just sort of fall into place. So really, all I'm doing is just going in here, and quite often I'll go over my drawing and just put in little areas where I think They're going to be a bit darker and some places going to be a bit lighter. It just helps in the overall process, I find anyway. Especially when it comes to foliage on trees, you know, putting in the darks and the lights. They're just like little tags just to remind me of where things are going to go. Alright, so now, you know, like, that's just one part of it. Now I want to go with my blending brush and I'm just going to gently go over that just to soften it all up, push it around a bit. And then I shall use my eraser and just take bits out, just little bits. And that's what's sort of creating the I don't know if the indentations, but because it's not a flat piece of wood, you know, it's weathered, and over the years it's you know, the rain and what have you has left the grooves and that in it. And I might just do a little bit over on this one here, and we will be going into time lapse because it's a very long drawn out process drawing, and to be honest, we can't really show everything because I mean this drawing will probably take me 4 or 5 hours maybe to complete. And I'm sure you don't want to be sitting there for 4 or 5 hours. So long as you know the basics, that's all that really matters. And if you're drawing along, all you got to do is pause it, and just take it up when you're ready. And don't rush. When you start rushing things, that leads into things like impatience, frustration. It'll happen. Just give it time. All I'm doing is putting in a few little guidelines so I know where I'm going to go. Now I might just put in the the wire. I might just do that now. So we're about, let's just have a look here first. We're about here. It's going to come across to here. So that's going to go over here. And once again, this is very, very hard to see, but we'll work something out here. This one just a little bit lightly. That sort of comes out there, and then it goes back into there. And then we've got there will be a bit of rubbing out to do here, I can see that. Trying to get all this in place. really just want to put lay down the line drawing at this stage. It's a bit tangled up in there. Okay. I just use a little sort of circular motions, but going forward at the same time. It just makes it so it's not as, you know, an exact straight line, so to speak. I just made that one up. It felt right. Alright, well, so that's where we're at with that. And we will come back to that and get the detail done properly. If I can try and find a better... Oh, okay, so we've got... There's another wire coming around here. Well, there is actually, yeah. So I'm just going to... So you see things on a different angle, and then that sort of comes down, all like that, and then it goes around there like that. Yeah, that looks a bit better. Anyway, we'll come back to that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into... Well, actually I might just do this here, how it's it comes down. We've got that bit there. And then there's like a little bit of bark or it's sort of been left where they've cut to try and shape the rail. Right. Yeah, I'm going to speed things up a bit, and then I'll come back and then I'll explain it a bit further to what we're actually doing. Okay? I'll see you shortly. Okay, so now we've got to the point where we've got everything in, you know, that's going to be our drawing. But I want to add a few more details and just get a bit more definition. Now, if you look at these trees now, they're way off in distance, but there are you can see, you know, highlights and dark bits, and there's not a lot of detail, but it's just a matter of just putting in a bit darker tones, and just gives the impression of a bit of a forest or whatever they've got going on in here. You know, it's virtually really just a silhouette, but and down the ground here she's a bit darker. We just want to create the impression, that's all. And we don't want to get too much into this, but really it's like with the grass and that, you know, excuse me, I've shown you how to do that, so there was no point in trying to, you know, in videoing the whole lot. I didn't think there was. Just going to tidy it up a bit around the edges. See how the graphite all over here, you know, it goes everywhere. That's right. That's where you've got to have, put down a bit of paper. Put down a bit of paper so you don't smudge it too much. Well, that's just about it. And I've just put see here where it's just an impression of grass. Now the other thing too is that what I'm trying to do is, although we're using the grid method to draw, because these are tutorials, I don't follow the exact image. You know, we could, if we really could, if I wanted to, we could do square by square. You know what I mean? But all I'm using the grid for, and for this purpose anyway, is just to show you how we can get a pretty close likeness of a drawing just by using the grid to get everything in the right place. It's a bit like a perspective drawing, except that we're not looking at angles so much, it's more about placement. You know, like certain knots, or certain where the wire is, or, you know, and it just keeps things in place, in order. And once you get the hang of, you know, like if you're 2 and 3 or whatever, you know, and you know where you are. You know, starting off a drawing, you know, getting down your line work and your underdrawing and everything can be just as daunting as trying to do detail. But you got to start with start at the beginning, and that is getting your line drawing in, and then just adding bits as you go, and do not be in a hurry, because it's all about enjoying it. It's all about just, you know, little bits here and there, and just a gradual process. Now there's a lot more we could do on here. You know, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? But I don't want to do too much. You know, I don't want to go to sort of like to the next level where we're going to be looking at doing, you know, more realistic, photorealistic drawings. There's a whole nother level, you know, which is quite hard trying to do that when you're just making trying to make quick tutorials. So, you know, there's something that you can sort of get your teeth into and have a go at it. And so I try and keep them as simple as I can. And, you know, and so that you can easily follow along. Not too hard. And really it's just using basic shapes. A little bit of sky and that and going on in here, and a bit of darkness there, just to just give a bit more tone in the sky there. And there's a line there that I just couldn't quite get out. Well, I didn't really try that hard, but so I'm just going to put a bit of darkness in where that line was. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Now, I played around with it just a little bit longer after we'd finished filming, and I put a little bit more detail in, but not a lot. It's one of those drawings, you know, that you can just carry on playing around with. It's entirely up to you. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you. And the other thing I wanted to do also is to show you the reference photo. Because if you wanted to, you could take a screenshot and you can use that. I don't know if you can see that properly, but if you take a screenshot of that and you can just print that out, and you'll be able to lighten that up on your computer as well. Alright, just thought I'd just mention that. Cheers. See you in the next one.